Oh boy. It is early Saturday afternoon, and we're sitting here just kind of reading the news, just kind of going over stuff, just, looking into stuff. And then all of a sudden, I found a bright, shining star of hope. And it was a very bright, shining star of hope. It turns out Google is deep fried. Just going to let that sink in for a minute. Google is absolutely deep fried. Because there is no way that they can prove that they do not have as much market share as being claimed. Do you think they can prove that?
No? Dude, they've been trying to avoid this question for years.
Oh, yes, they have. They have been dodging this question. They've been dodging this problem. They've been trying to get people on their side to help them out, and no one seems to want to do it. I wonder why.
Yeah. What is the lawsuit about?
We're going to read one story, and then we'll read the lawsuit in its entirety. But we're going to read one story here that's going to give you guys kind of a picture of what's going on. But then we'll go ahead and we'll read the lawsuit, and we'll tell you guys all about that. Google's home state of California on Friday filed to join a landmark antitrust lawsuit brought against the tech giant in October by the U.S. Department of Justice. California's request to be added to the complaint makes it the first Democratic state to ask to sign on to the case, potentially joining a group of 11 states with Republican attorney generals that are already supporting the DOJ's lawsuit. California isn't making any substantive changes to the complaint or seeking to add any new facts, according to the filing. So really, it's just California signing on just to make themselves look like they care, is what it is. Google's market dominance leaves consumers and small businesses with little choice when it comes to the internet search engine. California Attorney General Javier Becerra said in a statement, by using exclusionary agreements to dominate the market, Google has stifled competition and rigged the advertising market. We look forward to litigating this case to restore competition and innovation for California consumers. The Justice Department lawsuit alleges Google broke antitrust law by cutting deals with phone makers such as Apple and Samsung to be the default search engines on their devices, which is why, like I said, if this goes through Apple and Samsung, they're next. they're next. A move that boxed our competitors. The agency also accused Google of taking advantage of the dominance of its Android operating system to pursue device markets, or to pursue device makers into preloading its search app and other services on phones powered by the software. Google, based in Mountain View, California, has called the lawsuit deeply flawed. Of course you did. On Friday, a company spokeswoman didn't address California's request to join the lawsuit, but said, "We're confident in our position and will continue to make our case in court." Becerra is President-elect Joe Biden's nominee to run the Department of Health and Human Services. Of course he is. He was one of the only holdouts when a coalition of 50 states and territories announced an antitrust investigation into Google last year, led by Texas AG Ken Paxton, who I actually kind of like the guy. A lot of what he talks about and a lot of what he says and a lot of what he does truly is, and I'm not saying he's not trying to put a couple of feathers in his political hat, but his intentions seem true. I have done a lot of research into things that he's been investigating and such, and there's one thing that we can't talk about, and we're not going to talk about, that he's been really going gung ho on, because YouTube will take the video down. however, had reportedly launched its own probe. Okay, so that's just kind of an overview of what's going on. That being said, there was another company that got joined in on this lawsuit too, but they're going to do them separately, and that was Facebook. Facebook is also on the chopping block. But anyways, today, the Department of Justice, along with 11 state attorney generals, filed a civil antitrust lawsuit in the U.S. District Court for the District of Columbia to stop Google from unlawfully maintaining monopolies throughout anti-competitive and exclusionary practices in the search and search advertising markets, and to remedy the competitive harms, the participants, state attorney general offices, representatives of Arkansas, Florida, Georgia, Indiana, Kentucky, Louisiana, Mississippi, Missouri, Montana, South Carolina, and Texas. Today, millions of Americans rely on the internet and online platforms for daily life. Competition in the industry is vitally important, which is why today's challenges against Google, the gatekeepers of the internet, for violating antitrust laws is a monumental case both to the Department of Justice and for the American people, said Attorney General William Barr. Since my confirmation, I have prioritized the department's review of online market-leading platforms to ensure that our technology industry remains competitive. This lawsuit strikes at the heart of Google's grip over the internet for millions of American consumers, advertisers, small businesses, and entrepreneurs beholden to an unlawful monopoly. As with its historic antitrust actions against AT&T in 1974, Microsoft in 1998, the department is again enforcing the Sherman Act to restore the role of competition and open the door to the next wave of innovation. This time in vital digital markets, said Department Attorney General Jeffrey A. Rosen. Other than a couple of grammatical errors, we'll just, gloss over that. As one of the wealthiest companies on the planet with a market value of $1 trillion, Google is the monopoly gatekeeper to the internet for billions of users and countless advertisers worldwide. For years, Google has accounted for almost 90% of all search queries in the United States, and has used anti-competitive tactics to maintain and extend its monopolies in search and search advertising. As alleged, the complaint, Google has entered into a series of exclusionary agreements that collectively lock up the primary avenues through which users access search engines and thus the internet by requiring that Google be set as the preset default general search engine on billions of mobile devices and computers worldwide, and in many cases prohibiting pre-installation of a competitor. In particular, the complaint alleges that Google has unlawfully maintained monopolies in search and search advertising by the following: entering into exclusionary agreements that forbid pre-installation for any competing search service, entering into tying and other agreements that force pre-installation of its search applications in prime locations on mobile devices and make them undeletable regardless of consumer preference, entering into long-term agreements with Apple that requires Google to be the default and de facto exclusive general search engine on Apple's popular Safari browser and other Apple search tools, generally using monopoly profits to buy this is very long-winded. Preferential treatment for its search engine on devices, web browsers, and other search access points, creating a continuous and self-reinforcing cycle of monopolization. So, in other words, finally, somebody is saying what all of us here in the tech world have been saying for years. it's about goddamn time.
Mm-hmm.
Because I'm getting really, really, really sick and tired of Google and Facebook, and I just am. I am so tired of them. I am so tired of hearing Apple bought this company or Google bought this company or Facebook has acquired this network, and it's like, oh, you know what? Of all the things that I'm really hoping for out of this, I hope that Google has to sell YouTube or Google has to allow YouTube to be its own company.
Yeah.
Because how much do you want to bet that the second YouTube becomes a publicly traded company, they are going to do a 180 on every single one of their policies? Because now they're going to have to fight for money. They
Hey,
will
I'll be
do.
right back. Somebody's at my door.
Oh,
I'm only.
okay. Then I'm going to read the rest of this. These and other anti-competitive practices harm competition and consumers, reducing the ability to the ability of innovation, new companies to develop, compete, and discipline Google's behavior. The antitrust laws protect our free market economy and forbid monopolists from engaging in anti-competitive practices. They also empower the Department of Justice to bring cases like this one to remedy violations and restore competition, as it has done for over a century in notable cases involving monopolies over other critical industries other critical industries. This is very
Yeah, I know what you
long-winded.
mean.
This is very long-winded, but hold on.
I kind of get sick of it too.
The underpinning the American economy, like Standard Oil and the AT&T telephone monopoly decades ago. The department case against Microsoft recognized that the antitrust laws forbid anti-competitive agreements by high technology monopolies to require pre-installed default status, to shut off distribution channels to rivals, and to make software undeletable. The complaint alleges that Google is using similar agreements itself to maintain and extend its own dominance. Okay, so we're not going to read any further into that because that's pretty much the rest. That's whatever. The rest of it is kind of just fluff. It's just all the legal jargon that you don't really need to know about. Oh God, legal document. They're just so long-winded. Like that's the problem. Like I was reading that and I would get 3/4 of the way through a sentence and I would just, you know.
That's probably page 1 of 10,000 documents.
Yeah. Imagine the poor bastard that has to read through that thing. Oh God, but no, I am extremely happy that someone has finally taken enough interest in what they're doing that they finally decided that they actually had enough to do this. I think they had enough to do it years ago. I really do. I think they had enough to do it years ago. But my whole thing about it is this: I hope they make the search engine be its own thing. I hope they make YouTube be its own thing, and I hope they make Gmail and all that other stuff kind of separate from the big mothership and make all of that stuff compete for itself.
Yep.
Instead of letting it all be one big company that gets to share out of the same pocketbook. I really do. I hope YouTube ends up being its own thing, and I'm because YouTube needs to be knocked down a peg. I'm sorry, but they need a good swift kick to the back of the head.
Yeah.
Because they are doing things now that you could consider a totalitarian stance on things. You could consider it complete and total censorship.
Another company I would like to be broken up.
You're going to say Facebook, aren't you?
No, it's going to be in the entertainment business.
Oh,
It's Disney.
yeah.
Dude, they control ESPN.
Yep.
Disney, Marvel, all the Marvel Star Wars.
Yep.
They control everything in the entertainment business. 90% of it.
Yeah. No, I agree with you. That would be another one that they should definitely consider going after, because that is a Disney runs the frickin' world, for God's sake.
Yeah.
Like, literally everything that we consider to be pop culture now is probably owned by Disney.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous. But I'm just very happy that somebody has finally started to take a stance on Google. And I hope every other one of these companies, like Apple, like Samsung, like I hope a lot of these companies realize they're coming for you next. And they start letting new technologies come out and compete again. I hope that this sends a message to everybody that says they took them down. You better start playing by the rules. You know, I really do. And me and my dad have had this conversation before, and this is all regarding technology, because the two of us, we have these discussions about, technology and why can't these guys just let it go? You've had your time in the sun. Why don't you keep the door open and make a path for someone to take over after you? It doesn't have to be you. Why can't you get that through your head? It doesn't have to be you to be a good idea. It doesn't have to be you to be innovative. It doesn't have to be you for all of this. Why can't you let the gate stay open so someone else can come through and have that kind of success and give the market what it wants? Why don't you just do what you're good at, and when your time has come, allow others to go through instead of it always being you? I completely agree with him, because I do think that people that have these ideas, that create this stuff, they make the base for it. They get that foundation set. It won't be you that will build the house. It will be someone else that will build the house. But without that foundation, they can't build the house. So you're just as important as they are. Why can't you get that through your head? Why can't you get that through your head? And you can make the argument for money. You can make the argument for, we're a publicly traded company, therefore if I don't give them the promised return in some way, shape, or form, I can go to jail, which I understand that. But if you don't think your idea is good enough to warrant a public company, then don't be a public company. You don't have to become an IPO.
But don't you have to? I mean, to survive?
Certain companies, yes. But if your idea is good enough and your idea is used enough, then the public will want to use it. The public will want to pay for it. The public will say, this is a quality service, I will pay for it. You know what I mean?
But what companies are still private that are like monopoly-sized companies?
None. Because they got an influx of public cash. And then once they got that influx of public cash, and they had a board of directors and they had a CEO and all that, well, then they go ahead and they stagnate on everything. Prices go up, updates go down, new ideas get basically bulldozed, and then they keep making these promises and agreements with companies like Apple and Samsung, like mentioned in the DOJ filings. They make deals with Apple and Samsung to become the default and de facto search engine, which they make money from. Then they make money from the advertising. It's the same thing.
I'm afraid of. And I totally 100% fucking agree with you, okay?
Uh-huh.
But my only fear is, are they too big to fail at this point? Like, truly, are they too big to just say, we're going to separate you?
And that's what I'm scared of too. Because the way I see it
You know what I mean?
is,
Like you said, 90%, they control 90% of the market.
yeah. Are they so big to the point where you can't even come up with a possible competitor? And I know what you're trying to say with that. And that scares me too. Because if you cannot find a logical competitor for them, why break them up then?
And that's my only fear. It's like,
Yeah. No, I totally understand where you're getting at with that one. But it just yeah.
because seriously, what's truly the end game? Did it say what the end game was on the lawsuit?
The end game in the lawsuit was to break them up and create a more competitive environment for smaller search engines and companies, of which there are a few smaller search engines out there that would benefit from this. But
Yeah, that one search engine, it's gaining a lot of success. It's something.
oh, you talking about Go Duck Go?
Yeah,
Yeah.
where that site deletes your history.
Oh yeah, no, they have anti-information stuff programmed into it where you look for something online and then it just deletes it immediately.
Hmm.
Yeah. So they I think that what they have is more advertiser based and less information based. Google and Facebook and stuff like that, that's all information based sales. That's why they put all of that stuff in the code. So that way they could save it and sell it to companies. That way companies could better target advertise you on their platforms.
Yeah.
So
I mean, that's probably the closest I can think of that's, competition wise.
yeah. And I mean if they get a fair shake at it, I'm okay with that. If this lawsuit gives them a fair shake at it, there's nothing wrong with it.
Yeah.
So, but anyways, we're going to continue to read who else is in the DOJ's crosshairs. This week's antitrust lawsuit against Facebook by the Federal Trade Commission and a coalition of states alongside with the Department of Justice suit filed in October against Google represents more than an attack on big tech. Together, they're a concrete sign of a major rethink of antitrust law. Since the Reagan administration, government antitrust enforcement had largely enforcers have largely viewed the Sherman Act, the government's main legal basis for antitrust cases, through the lens of economic and market efficiency. If a monopolist doesn't hurt consumers by charging higher prices and reducing output, there isn't any reason to deem its actions illegal. Those days may be over, which is good. The rise of a large networked enterprise such as Google, Facebook, and Amazon. I told you there would be a third party in this, which derive their power by amassing huge numbers of customers via telecom networks, as well as recognition that globalization has exacerbated income disparities and depressed wages for ordinary Americans, have changed how a new group of young legal scholars view antitrust law. Instead of focusing on market efficiency, they are focused on market fairness. The so-called hipster trust busters maintain that antitrust law should not only consider consumers' welfare and measured by efficiency. Oh my God, stop loading goddamn ads. Measured by efficiency, price, and output, but should take into account how new industry structures create powerful economic actors that stifle upstart companies and wield unprecedented political power. The Facebook suit exemplifies how quickly the legal and integral landscape is changing. It seeks to reverse Facebook's acquisition of photo sharing service Instagram, messaging provider WhatsApp, mergers that the FTC approved less than a decade ago. New York State Attorney General Lolita James may as well have been reading from the hipster hymnal at a press conference Wednesday when she laid out the state plaintiffs' rationale. Instead of competing on the merits, Facebook used its power to suppress. Oh my God. Facebook used its power to suppress competition so it could take advantage of users and make billions by converting personal data into a cash cow, James said, which goes back to what I said before. They're just huge information farms for these companies to then sell to advertisers so that way they could then target advertise you all the time. This new approach has major implications for how companies must think about their approach to mergers and acquisitions, as well as the deals they make with supplies and distribution. Until now, companies were free to believe their actions were legal as long as they could argue that they made the market more efficient and didn't hurt consumers through the higher prices. The Google and Facebook suits may very well represent a throwback to the big is bad approach to antitrust law reminiscent of the 1970s and 60s. The signs in the language of the Google lawsuit itself, in particular, are particularly clear. The Department of Justice does not argue that Google price gouges customers, but because it can't. Internet search is free. Instead, it argues that consumers are hurt because the search giant's dominance keeps out of the market. The dominance keeps out of the market new players that might offer higher quality search services that might offer, for instance, more privacy protection. In other words, Google's very bigness makes it bad. And then it just goes back into big is bad kind of stuff. And we're not going to read through the whole article, but that just gets down to what we were talking about and basically sums up what Matt and I are saying about the whole thing, which is that I'm not the hippy dippy kind of person. I'm just not. I take showers regularly. I don't shop at Whole Foods, and I don't drive a Prius. So I'm not your hippy dippy kind of person. But what I am is someone who appreciates competition. I appreciate having multiple choices. I appreciate other people going out, starting a business, and actually, grabbing their sack and deciding they're a man and that they're going to take the chance. And if you can't even get that opportunity in the situation that we're in now, it's just not a good thing. It's just not. That means our system has broken down. And if our system has broken down, how does anybody expect to get anything?
Yeah.
So I just don't like the idea that they control so much. That bothers me. It really does. So yeah, I mean, as far as I'm concerned, if they want to go after them, fine with me.
Yeah.
Totally fine with me.
Facebook, they say, is a little more aggressive in what you're totally talking about competition and how they want to crush it. They're a little more aggressive with it than Google is, because Google, is pretty much the one who started it.
Yep.
Facebook wasn't the first, so.
No, Facebook just kind of took it to a new level. Facebook just kind of started buying stuff. Like, they said, ooh, I like this. I can't have you around. I'm buying you,
They gave it a name for that.
Did they?
Yeah, it's called the Wrath of Mark.
Oh, for God's sake. Pfft. It's Mark Zuckerberg, for God's sake. Who cares?
I'm just saying that's the good name.
He looks like a socially awkward buckwheat.
Yep. And he acts like it when he's in an interview. But no, I agree. And then these companies need to be small. I just don't know how you do it.
I don't know. Honestly, I don't know how you do it either, to be honest with you.
Because well, let's say you break these companies apart, does that mean they're gonna or still?
Probably not.
I mean, because what was the reason for them to be bought in the first place?
No, I don't think they were being bought because they were
I
struggling.
think YouTube was being bought.
YouTube was being bought because that one was actually struggling
Yes, that's what I'm saying, dude.
because they couldn't actually find a market share because video sharing and video creation wasn't that big of a deal yet.
I understand that, Nick, but what I'm saying still is, even if they're broken up, they still survive.
I think they will if they take a hugely different approach. I think they will.
Okay. That's the problem with free stuff. It's hard to pay for.
Yeah. Yeah, but you see the whole thing about YouTube is that the best part about YouTube back in the day was that YouTube was and not that I agree.
Big bucks for music, so
Oh yeah. No, they did.
it's not like it's getting it's paying a lot in other things.
No, I'm not saying you're wrong about that. But what I'm saying is that I do think Google can, or not Google. I think YouTube can maintain its I think they can still be a contender in the whole video world, but I think that they're going to need to really, really reconsider a lot of their social and political stances and take more of a, how do you put this? More of a neutral stance on a lot of it and just allow people to say what they're going to say, whether you like it or not.
Yeah, look,
And
they have, to a degree, you're right. They have started to do that with their live TV when they partner up with other, networks
Yep.
and stuff. But still, I just, for how much you have to pay for that, I don't know if you can get a lot of subscribers.
I think you can. I think you can.
$50 a month.
Yeah, I think you can. And the way that you can, now just hold on a second. The way that you can is by allowing these is by opening it up and making it a creator owned platform.
But it's controlled by networks, though.
You allow networks to keep doing that. You allow networks to keep bringing people off the street in, but you make it a creator owned platform.
I don't see that. I get what you're saying, but I don't know.
I think that's a thing.
Well, I think it's a thing too, but I don't know about YouTube doing it. Because the appeal is, that's not their appeal. Like, that's not what it makes it super popular.
What made them super popular was the creators. That's what made them popular.
Well, yeah, that's what I'm saying. But if you have to pay for that, then it's still right up.
Yes, but I think YouTube has been around long enough now that everybody has a creator and everybody has somebody that they watch that they're willing to pay for.
Yeah,
But the only reason why they don't pay now, well, actually you can now. You can actually become a community member and you can, have like a subscription to their channel where you actually pay, and it's a small amount, but there's enough people out there that everybody loves to watch. And if you allow them to control the platform, you allow them to take direct profit from the platform, you allow them to take and you allow them to have some kind of creative control over how the platform operates, I think you would be able to get a lot more people in, and I do think you would be able to get enough people on board.
Okay, but the problem with that then is that comes in with the competitors. You know, competitors. Then because other companies do that. A lot more companies. What you just said right there do exactly what you just said.
Yep.
And I don't know how YouTube survived. Because like I said, that's not what they first started out or their appeal was.
Yeah.
One company to do what you have said.
And they've become wild, and they've become very successful with it.
Yes, but that's not what YouTube was built on, though. That's all I'm saying, Nick. There's hundreds, or not even hundreds of them, but there's a lot of them the same thing, do the same thing. I don't know how YouTube could survive on that.
Well, it would have to be.
Wouldn't anymore.
They would have to be.
That's why they're big. That's why they're a big company. That's why they were bought by a big company.
Yeah, but the thing that I'm trying to say is this: is that yes, you might be right about that, but consider it like this. Okay, YouTube has always been that free platform, right? Which is fine. You want to be a free platform, that's fine. But the reason why people keep going back to YouTube is because of the quality of the situation that you have. Yes, they have problems. Yes, they have to work a lot of other stuff out. I'm not arguing with you on that. The platform it's not totally garbage, but it's broken.
But
And they would
have
have
still free.
yes, but what I'm saying is this. But what I'm saying is this is that you keep them. But what I'm saying is this is that you allow people to you take out the totally free part of it, and if people want to directly support creators, they can. And then Google takes a very small transactionary fee out of that, about 5% per creator, right? Per transaction. I still think that YouTube could function, keep the servers going, keep, updating the platform, stuff like that, if they took a smaller amount. If they took a small amount out of the subscription fees that people would pay to the creators. I do think they could still survive being free.
I don't know. I mean, because it's like saying you can't watch a creator unless you pay a fee. You know what I mean?
No. You can pay for it if you choose to, because they already have something like that implemented.
Yes.
You remain on that platform. You remain on that idea. You allow the creators to shill that if they want to. But if they choose not to, but they put it in there and people start joining, then that's fine. But all you do is take a very small amount, and that's it. That's more than enough money. That's more than enough money to pay server moderators and video people and stuff like that. You've still got more than enough money there. You can do that.
Dude, I'm sorry because I know what you're saying, but I've seen stories like this before, and it's not enough for creators to live on. And then they don't want to do it. And then that kills what you were saying.
Well, then I guess that's an issue for them.
I mean, look, I get that, but what I mean is, Nick, if it works, it works. I just don't think it'll work. That's all my opinion is. Your opinion, you think it might work, that's fine. My opinion, I don't think it'll survive. Because I think there's too much other competition to do that.
Maybe.
And that's why I'm saying, if these companies do break apart, I don't think they will survive.
And you very well could be right, but I do think they have a chance.
Okay.
I do think that there's
So we move it on. We've probably argued this for like 20 minutes.
try almost 40.
Oh.
But yeah, we can. Do you have any other topics? Because this show today might be a little short. Just saying, because there really isn't. Like, let's just be honest. we don't really have a whole lot to talk about unless you want to keep talking about the PS5 shortages and the Xbox shortages and the fact that there's no graphics cards and we're 2 weeks away from Christmas, and it's just been a really shitty year as far as that's concerned.
Yeah. No. Yeah. There isn't much.
The whole antitrust lawsuit was kind of the biggest deal. Let's be honest about this. It was the biggest deal. But let's move it on to what are we doing as far as me and you playing games? Like, are you still playing Assassin's Creed?
I actually finished that game yesterday.
I figured you would have by now.
Yeah.
I'm.
I tell you, it's a very weird ending.
Oh, I'm sure it is. I am 100% sure it is.
I'm gonna tell you, there's 4 different endings. Not in the main plot of it, but just the endings are different.
Yeah.
The main plot's pretty much the same, but just how it gets there is different endings.
Okay.
Yeah, that part, because any other game, this game doesn't have the end credits.
What?
Yeah, you don't get to the end credits until you beat every little thing.
That's weird.
That is, isn't it? Because I was like, I got to the end, okay, and then I was waiting for the end credits.
Wait a minute. Wait a minute. Is this the same thing? Oh my god. This is the same thing that happened with Breakpoint. Remember the two of us were trying to play Ghost Recon?
Yeah.
Well, what you don't know is this, is that I spent another 2 weeks going through all the little side missions. I literally went through all the little side missions, and once I beat all of the little side missions, then I got the end credits.
Yes, I think that exactly. Because I did play through every little side mission. I didn't care for every little side mission. I played through most of them because I did get to a power 350, so I got most of them. But some of the ones I didn't care for, so I didn't play those. Which I think that's why I didn't trigger the end credits.
Yeah, probably. But yeah, no, I
But it's not a big deal. I mean, it's a little confusing. You're like, wait, where are the end credits? Because
Yeah.
you're basically done with the main plot of the game. And you're like, okay, is this like the ending then?
Yep.
Okay. It's just, like I said, it's a weird ending.
Yeah.
No, I played, that game's over. I played it.
Well, then I think we should jump into another game. I think we should try playing something else for a while.
Okay.
And I think we should play Apex. I've been get.
Oh, I should have known you were going to that.
Yep. Because I've been playing that a lot lately. I really have. I've kind of switched from. I've switched from playing Call of Duty to playing that now. Not exclusively, but I play it a lot more. And I don't know. I like it. It's more competitive. The casual lobbies are really casual. You have a lot of rank play. You don't really have to worry about as much. I mean, yeah, of course there's cheating, but that's just a thing.
Yeah.
You're not going to totally get rid of it, no matter how hard you try. And I just really like how it plays. I just like how it feels. I like how it plays. I like how the gunfights feel very open and organic. I feel like I like how everything just kind of happens. You know, the way the game feels is nice. The way the way you play it, it feels a lot better. I got to be honest with you. And plus, if you have Origin access, you can play that game for free. And I think they actually give you a nice little starter pack of coins. So if you're the type of person that likes cosmetics and weapon skins and operator skins and stuff like that, I think they give you like something to start out with, so you get a couple of those skin packs.
Yeah.
So but yeah, I just like it. I've begun to appreciate it a lot more now. Also, it makes more sense because it feels like a.
Now, what do you feel about this? The cross-platform. It's coming. It just started its beta this month. What do you think?
No, cross-platform's already been released.
It has.
Yeah, started October 6th.
Oh, anyways, what do you think of that then?
I guess I haven't really noticed it.
Oh.
Like I said, dude, the way the quality of player that plays that game, the quality of player is higher. But the fact that the whole skill-based matchmaking thing isn't cranked to 11 like it is with Call of Duty. And I'm actually going to pull this up. They replace both concerned and angry, but before you go. Okay, so just the way it feels. The way the game feels is you actually feel like you've played a game rather than you get dropped in and die. But yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
But you know, whereas you play Call of Duty and there's like way too many players and you feel like you have no shot at taking anybody because you've got so many people that are dropping in the same spot all the time, literally all the time, that you feel like you're constantly just being crowded. And if you're one of the first ones to die, you always feel crowded. But no, I actually kind of like Apex. So,
Surprised. I'm just surprised.
why?
Oh.
I would think you would think that game is like right up my alley.
No. Actually, I won.
Really?
Yeah.
Is it because of the wacky character skins?
But I showed you a video once and you didn't really get into it.
I mean, yeah, that's true. And then I really started playing it. And then as soon as I started playing it, that's when I kind of started changing my mind a little bit.
Because I should remember we were talking about this a while back, 5 years ago when it started to become popular. And you're like, eh.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. But it feels like Apex feels like a more well-rounded Firestorm. And I know how much you liked playing that game. Because that game was actually pretty good. Like that game mode was good because it had that kind of like Battlefield feel to it. where you kind of felt like you had a chance going into most gunfights. But yeah, I think you need to give it a shot, because you would like it a lot more than you would like it a lot more than Warzone. I can tell you that. So, but I have to go, so we are going to call it today, guys. We're done for the day. There will be another show tomorrow, and we'll talk about we'll have more to talk about then. Because I'll do some more research tonight, and I know Matt will do some more research. But I just wanted to get something out. I just wanted to make a video and just get something out. And just see what you guys think, and hopefully, I want to see some more engagement in the comment section. I want to see what you guys think of this whole Google thing. I want to see what people have to say about it. I want to see if people are as interested in it as I am, because personally, as far as I'm concerned, it's long overdue. I wholeheartedly believe that it's long overdue. I'm sorry, it just is. Because I don't like the fact, I don't like how much they control. I just don't. It's ridiculous, but no, tomorrow we'll have another opinion on that, because we'll have someone else here to talk about it. And we'll just go from there. So all right. See ya.